Oh my god. Oh my god.
Let's go.
Cool!
Hey everyone, it's Nux, and today I am back to give some more thoughts on Sonic X Shadow Generations, or at this point, just Shadow Generations, because that's all we've really been talking about, to be honest. But man, things have truly gotten crazy with this game, because recently we got this new trailer that they surprise dropped right before Gamescom, and it went absolutely crazy. And the last few trailers have been good, don't get me wrong, but this one, I have things to say in regards to how Sega has handled the trailers for this game compared to some other ones. But before we get into what's basically going to be the wider discussion of this video, I want to give my brief thoughts on the new things we saw within this trailer, and so far, it all looks pretty interesting. We got the reveal of Doom powers, which was teased through the whole wing form that Shadow has shown off in the last trailer or so. But now, we know that this is going to be a part of an entire new mechanic where Shadow will get his own set of unique abilities. And for the most part, I think this mechanic looks pretty neat. We have Doom Spears, which are obviously just a variant of Chaos Spear, Doom Blast, which you can attest to some form of Chaos Blast, the Doom Wings of course, but then there's two entirely new ones that we saw that I feel a little more on. Because we've got the Doom Morph, where Shadow transforms into this weird squid tentacle creature, and like, what the heck is the deal with that? Like, Shadow, are you an Inkling now? I'm sorry, but that one was just so bizarre. And it's especially one that I raised my eyebrows towards, because the way we see it working in a 2D section reminds me a lot of how the Wisp worked, especially with the way it was climbing walls, like the Pink Spike Wisp, which I don't mind these powers acting as a way to bring in new gimmicks, especially since these Doom powers feel a lot more cool and fitting to the series lore than the Wisp do. Planet Wisp is gone, Sonic Team. Planet Wisp is gone. But I can't help but get this bad feeling that Sonic Team is really going to keep sneaking Wisp-like powers in every game, such as with the Chaos Emerald powers in Sonic Superstars. And with the Doom Surf especially, it gives off that weird and gimmicky vibe, because like, Doom Surf, bro? That power feels like one where they might have been stretching it a bit, especially since Shadow is fast enough to run on water, and yeah, I don't know if we needed a power that looks like the Manta Ray sections in Super Mario Galaxy. But overall though, I think the Doom powers are cool. Again, they do give me slight war flashbacks to the Wisp, but they look okay, and that's all you need to know. Next, we got a better look at the white space open zone, and it's also looking pretty interesting. Someone actually spotted Omega there, so that does back up the dev quote stating that we'd see characters and stuff there. So that's cool. Nothing more to say about that. But I do want to talk a bit about the new stages we saw, which was Chaos Island, the infamous 2D island, yeah, a real fan favorite there, from Sonic Frontiers, and Sunset Heights from Sonic Forces, which was confirmed from somewhere else after the trailer. And these were certainly interesting to see, since it confirms that things from Sonic games after Generations are not off the table, which is very much a mixed bag for me, if you know my thoughts on the direction of the games after Sonic Generations. Because if this were like Sonic Generations itself, where we're seeing stages from even very flawed games like Sonic 06 getting remade with full polish, then I'd actually be hyped to see these newer stages getting another chance. But since the Sonic series has just objectively not been on Generations levels of quality for a while, this just more so screams that these stages are here because of easy asset reusing. But if these stages can be quality remade versions of themselves, then it just adds more to the content of this game, which makes this game come out looking a lot meatier than we were initially expecting, especially with the most hype reveal of all from this trailer, Metal Overlord. And it's pretty crazy to see a villain like him back, although a bit annoying to see that he'll be getting the perfect chaos treatment of now being an easy boss that can be beaten without the chaos emeralds. Modern Sonic storytelling, man. But yeah, we now have 3 solid bosses confirmed: Biolizard, Metal Overlord, and we know we're going to face Black Doom at some point, since he has a new render for his complete form, which is still insane to see, man. Like, I was convinced that they were going to keep him in marketable starfish form, but no, they're going all out. In terms of if we'll see any more bosses, maybe. I'm personally suspecting that there's probably at least 1 to 2 more bosses remaining. As for who they are though, man, I feel like Mephiles has to be one of them. Has to be, because he is one of the most requested Sonic villains to make a return in this game. But maybe they'll do something weird and use Iblis or even Solaris instead. Which, with Iblis, he definitely feel underwhelming since he feels more like an enemy to Silver than Shadow. But with Solaris, I don't want to see him return unless we get a full remake of Sonic 06 or another game where Sonic, Shadow, and Silver team up again. Because Solaris is a very high stakes Sonic villain that I do not want to just casually be smacked around without the Chaos Emeralds. Even if it's like some illusion BS. No, sit on that one for another time, please. Thank you very much. But I'll tell you, I take that to the other options because I do not want to find out that the last boss reveal for this game is freaking Infinite, or God forbid, Zavok and the Deadly Six. Like, don't even think about it, Sonic Team. Don't do it. I am begging at this point. But with that, that's pretty much everything to cover with the new trailer. Only other thing I almost forgot to mention is that I want to shout out the musician they brought on for this trailer. Richard E.B., or is it Richard E.B.? I don't know, but either way, he's one I want to shout out because that was actually a really shocking guest feature for an official Sonic trailer, since he's someone I follow and listen to for years now, and I think his music style actually matches with Sonic very well. Like, I'm really hoping he gets to work with the Sonic series more in the future, because he's an example of a fresh blood music artist that'd actually be an amazing addition to the franchise as a regular artist. But even though Shadow Generations is looking solid, I still don't think it's going to be as long as the original Sonic Generations. So there's probably only so much more left to talk about with this game without getting into straight up spoiler territory. So this is probably going to be my last video solely dedicated to it, until maybe a review if that's what I decide to do. But now, my final thoughts on the game aside, what I really want to talk about in this video are the trailers. Because that last trailer being so good truly made me stop and wonder, man, do Sega finally understand how to do Sonic trailers again? Because the way they've handled the marketing for Sonic X Shadow Generations is so much better than the last few Sonic games. And to really break down why, what I'm going to do is not only look at most of the trailers that we've gotten for this game, but compare them directly to another recent Sonic game that handled its pre-release period in a not as efficient way, to put it lightly. And that's Sonic Frontiers. And I know y'all are always getting mad at me for comparing Sonic's recent entries to old games from the 2000s or the 90s. But in this case, it's more than fair game, because these are 2 of the latest Sonic mainline releases, and the fact that their executions are so vastly different is baffling. So, starting on the Sonic X Shadow Generations front, we have the initial reveal trailer, which is pretty much as clear of a game reveal trailer as you are going to get. It immediately opens up with Sonic Generations gameplay, to let us know that this is, well, Sonic Generations, but then they do that awesome CGI transition with Shadow jumping in and showcasing gameplay of Shadow Generations. And not just bog standard gameplay of Shadow running in a straight line either. Actual interesting reveals like the return of the Space Colony Arc stages, the return of Black Doom, the trippy city void that Shadow falls into, etc. Not only are we getting clear information on what to expect, but it's being showcased in a really cool and energetic way. And I cannot beat in the fact that we get actual gameplay enough, because it's just something so important for a video game trailer. CGI trailers can only do so much to get people excited, especially when you're a franchise who has objectively had a reputation for having mediocre or straight bad gameplay in your final products. Now, what's the exact opposite to this reveal then? The original reveal for Sonic Frontiers, the one in that god-awful Sonic Central. Not only was it a CGI trailer with not a crumb of gameplay, but it was a CGI trailer that didn't even show anything of substance. And a lot of people get on my case for being hard on the original teaser. Since it's a teaser, those aren't meant to show off a lot. But in this specific case, it is not the reveal Sonic needed, because we're not only coming off a very divisive installment in Sonic Forces, another game that was revealed itself with a mediocre CGI trailer, but we're coming off a near 5-year wait for this game with no type of updates. And at least the Forces reveal trailer set our expectations with the classic Sonic reveal, and giving us a slight tease of the story with the destroyed city that's overrun by giant Eggman robots. But this trailer literally had nothing to go off of but Sonic running in a forest and glowing. And that's it. Absolute garbage in comparison. And as I've stated in some other places, the look at Sonic Frontiers we got at the Game Awards should have been our original first look at the game, because it had so much more to go off of, between the actual in-game engine establishing shots, the confirmation of this game being open world inspired, the tease of the Titans, etc. And even that one is still flawed at the end of the day, because once again, we still get no actual gameplay. Meanwhile, by its second trailer, Sonic X Shadow Generations is just building on the momentum from its last trailer. We get more reveals for new stages, like Kingdom Valley and Bullet Station, stages that aren't rehashed to death. We get the crazy reveal of Shadow having wings at the end, and even the end card of the trailer is shocking with the reveal of the Terios bonus skin. Meanwhile, when do we finally see substantial gameplay for Sonic Frontiers? In the infamous IGN gameplay teaser, and then their full gameplay showcase videos. And oh my goodness, those gameplay showcases, bro. Those gameplay reveals need to be in the Hall of Fame of how not to reveal your new video game. Like, it genuinely needs to be taught in schools as to how to not advertise anything, between how boring and directionless it felt, with things like Sonic just running in a goddamn hamster wheel, the obvious as hell glitches and reused assets that were so easy to spot. All this did was turn the discussion around this game into a nightmare, and I never want to go through obnoxious discourse or see another Sonic gameplay showcase that feels so lifeless like that ever again. Like, it's not even just the unpolished and slow momentum, just the soulless energy of the presentation is what bothered me the most. And I know people try to blame it on IGN, of course, since we know their reputation with not showcasing games in the most favorable light. But even then, Sega were the ones who had control over how this game was presented. On top of just making the gameplay better itself, of course, they should have first put out a trailer that highlighted its most appealing aspects, before letting random game journalists release gameplay that would basically be all we understand about the game for weeks on end. The only other thing that rivals how bad this gameplay showcase was is the gameplay reveal for Sonic Forces, where we're just seeing Sonic run in a straight line basically. Man, remember how we thought this would be the first stage because of how overly simple it was? Remember, not a single 2D section. I'm sorry for the stray there, Prem. I'm just being stupid there. But seriously, both of these games are just prime examples of horrible game reveal presentation, which just carries into ruining the vibe for the entire pre-release period. But the crazy part is, with Sonic Frontiers, it does have a really good trailer, and that's the Showdown trailer. Because not only does it have CGI shots that are 100% clear about the game, between Sonic fighting the mysterious robots of this new island with cool moves, transforming into Super Sonic against Giganto, and all of that, but it has an actually really solid showcase of its gameplay. It actually makes the game look insanely hype as hell. But what's the problem? This is pretty much one of the last trailers for the game because it dropped only a few days before it came out. Like, imagine if we had seen this at any of the other points where all we had was the most mediocre looking gameplay. It would have shifted the perspective on this game completely possibly. But no, because it dropped literally right before the game came out, some people didn't even see this. It was basically too late to speculate anymore about the game, and if you weren't sold by the earlier showcases, or the final game itself, that was checkmate basically. Like, imagine if this Doom Powers trailer we just got was something they just randomly dropped before the game released. It'd still be hype, sure, but at that point, it's too late. You probably know everything from like leaks or something. So you see Sega, Sonic fans, or just anyone watching this video, this is why I'm so harsh and critical when it comes to new Sonic game reveals. You can just tell when Sega is actually confident in a new Sonic release, but also when it feels like they know dang well they undercooked in areas for a game, so are trying to be as vague as possible with actually showing off the game. Like, you can cook, Sega, you can cook, I see it, but I just wish it was something that was consistent with this franchise, because the fact that it isn't is the reason why the Sonic series has the divisive reputation that it does. It's just objectively true. If quality was truly consistent, then there would be so much less discourse with literally every dang new release. But I think I've made this video's purpose crystal clear, so we're done here. In the end, I don't know how Shadow Generations is going to turn out in the final product, but at least in terms of its trailers, it did things right. And not just because of the throwbacks and callbacks. Do not get confused. This isn't about me being hyped for old Sonic stuff alone. I just truly think that the reveals of this game give off a clear and confident message, and it's what Sonic games should do more in the future. But with that, that's going to be it for today's topic. If you've made it to this point of the video, thank you for watching all the way until the end. What are your thoughts on Shadow Generations based on everything we've seen? Is it reasonable to want a video game trailer to have actual gameplay? And will we see Crystal Zavok as the final Shadow Generations boss? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to it, and follow my additional social media in the description for more content and updates. This has been 𝗠𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗰, and I'm out. Peace.